Well, there we go. We played a little Jersey bounce, even though Chris Wheeler is from Delaware County. He's not from New Jersey, but we thought we'd spread it out a little bit, put a little Jersey bounce on there to get Wheels on. Wheels, how you doing?
All right, Don, great. It's like old times doing a show with you. It's fun.
Well, I'll tell you, the funny thing is, I was telling Doug here a little bit ago, when you think back over the years, I think that Philadelphia was one of the unique radio baseball voices of any city in the country, because I can't say how many times I said, Harry, Andy, Whitey, and Wheels, and it was just, how many years is this for you now, 30?
Well, believe it or not, Don, I'm going to be my 40th year with the Phillies at some point this year, but my first year on the air was 77, so that's 33, 34 years. So, yeah, I was with Harry, Richie, and Andy for a long, you're right, the four of us were the main broadcast team for a long, long time in Philadelphia, and now I'm the only one going. Andy's still alive, though. He's doing okay. He still lives in Marion, and of course we lost Whitey and Harry. But it feels funny to be the senior member now, because I was always the kid.
And well, from all accounts, Andy went to his first love, which was not baseball but beer.
yeah. Andy spent a lot of time with Anchor Steam, representing that fine company, and putting beer in places all over the East Coast. He had a lot of fun with that. He's had a few little health problems lately, Don. He's not able to travel as much as he used to, but he's doing okay.
Great. Well, I did not know that Andy was having some health problems, but let's go back a little bit. And Doug Miles here, and we do a little show every Sunday over here in Sarasota. And, of course, right now the Orioles, a new franchise here in Sarasota, are at Bright House today, and quite a change coming into Sarasota to see the Orioles.
Yeah, it is. We were really happy, obviously, when the Orioles wound up in Sarasota, because you know how Florida's been losing teams over the last few years to Arizona. You're running out of games, running out of teams to play. So when the Reds moved, you thought, there goes another one. But now that they're in Sarasota, the Orioles are in Sarasota, it's great. Be able to play them a couple times this spring. As you know, they were just here on Friday, back here again on Sunday, and they're out there tossing around the outfield. Tarp's on the field here right now, and I see some of their guys headed down the left field line, so they're going to go in and use the Phillies' indoor batting cages, get a little work in. We hopefully will be able to play today and get a game in with them.
Chris, Doug Miles, good to talk to you and have you on our show today. And just want to ask you, who are some of your influences growing up doing baseball play-by-play? Well,
I will be 65 this year, Doug. So I grew up with a lot of great broadcasters. But the guys that were when I was a kid started out was a guy named Gene Kelly, who actually was involved in you hear him calling Dick Sisler's home run in 1950 that sent the Phillies to the World Series that year against the Yankees. He worked with a tremendous Hall of Fame broadcaster named Byram Som. And then later, Bill Campbell and Richie Ashburn started to do the games when I was still young, before I started with the Phillies. So those were the guys of my youth, just tremendous radio guys. There wasn't a whole lot of TV back in those days. Radio, baseball, and the radio was the thing. And I don't do much radio anymore. I do mostly television, but I did a lot of radio. Don knows that, and I've always enjoyed baseball and the radio, and I still do. I think it's great.
Wheels, the funny thing was that the identity, when you talked about the broadcast team and you said Whitey and Wheels, you really didn't need secondary. Well, actually, for all three, Harry, Andy, Whitey, and Wheels, everybody identified for such a long period of time with the four broadcasters that you never really needed a last name.
Yeah, it's the truth. That's a good point. We were together for so long, and as you know, Don, anybody who loves baseball and broadcasters, you really become a part of people's lives. You just do. You're on so much. You do 162 games. Now, we do a little less now because of the fact that, the team is so good. We have so many games on national television now, so we don't do quite as many as we used to. But you still are very much involved in people's lives. You're the voice of the summer, and in their cars, and, painting the deck or something like that. And you do become a part of people's lives. And I've had so many, obviously now that I'm so much older, I've had so many people come up to me and tell me they grew up listening to me, and that's a great honor.
Yeah, I think the same way. I grew up in New York, Chris, and you had guys with the Mets announcing, Lindsey Nelson, you got Bob Murphy, of course the Yankees, you had Rizzuto, and of course going back to the Red Barber days and Mel Allen. You really, I guess baseball is more so than any other sport as far as play-by-play. You're telling stories, you really become more of a personality than an announcer, don't you?
Well, I think that's a great point, and the thing being, of course, is the natural pauses in the game give you time. I've always said it gives you time to have your personality out there where people really know you, and it also gives you a lot of time to hang yourself and say dumb things. So, you try to stay away from the latter and stick with the former, but you can't help it sometimes. But yeah, absolutely, because you're on so much and you have a lot of time, and you do have a chance to talk stories. I've always had a pretty good memory about things. In fact, somebody asked me something at a breakfast this morning we had here about a game in 70-something, and I remembered it. And that's always been, something I've always been very grateful for, that I can remember things that happen. And that's what baseball is, I think, as much as anything. It's a game of memories and storytelling.
Well, Ernie Harwell, of course, was the best at that. He was a great, great storyteller over there in Dunedin with Toronto for so many years. A terrific, terrific broadcaster. A little bit under the weather right now, unfortunately. But
it was great. Always great to run into him, Don. You're right. When you would see Ernie, and as you said over there, or here in our ballpark, and Jack Russell in Clearwater when we had the old ballpark. Just to sit and talk to Ernie, what a wonderful man.
And a lot of people don't realize that Timmy McCarver started with you guys. Bill White started with you fellas before he went to the Yankees and then on to be the president of the National League. And, there's quite a run. Now you have a pretty good group. Tommy McCarthy, of course, is doing an outstanding job, along with Sarge, who's moved in, and L.A., who keeps reminding me the little work that you do at times.
Unbelievable. That man discussing my work ethic is there's just something wrong with that. What can I tell you?
In Sarasota, I have to say L.A., but I have to say Larry Anderson, because a lot of folks really don't know that he's affiliated with the broadcast.